Framework for project management. Just like a building has an architect's blueprint for how it's built, you need to understand how the discipline of project management is put together in a way so that you can be effective and efficient in executing that discipline. So let's talk about the framework of project management. Framework for project management. As we said before, project management is a profession. We use the Project Management Institute to help with standards and for all of the rules that we need in order to govern project management as a discipline. We're also going to talk about the knowledge areas within project management certifications. We'll talk about a certain kind of project management called Scrum development or Agile project management. And we'll talk a little bit about the Project Management Office. Project management as a profession. The discipline of project management involves the following things: a body of knowledge, standards, also professional organizations for members that are interested in this discipline and members who can come together and learn standards and share best practices. Currently, anyone can call themselves a project manager. However, what extent can an expert move from one industry to another if they just simply call themselves a project manager? Project management standards. There are standards organizations out there that help manage project management standards so that all project managers can operate by those standards as they execute in the discipline of project management. The two that are very popular are PMI, which is the Project Management Institute, and the International Project Management Association. Both organizations have certification programs that people can take in order to get better at project management. Project Management Institute. The Project Management Institute, also known as PMI, was established in 1969. This organization issues a certification called the PMP, which is one of the most popular project management certifications around. They also offer a CAPM, which is a Certified Associate Project Manager's certification for novice PMs. And they also offer several specialized certifications in other areas. There are over 590,000 PMPs in the world. The Project Management Institute has also published the Project Management Body of Knowledge, which is now in its 5th edition. To achieve the Project Management Professional Certification, you must have 5 years of project management experience. You must pass a rigorous exam, maintain ongoing professional development throughout your career. There's another certification that this organization offers called the Certified Associate in Project Management Certification. This certification requires an exam and is considered to be a step along the way to the PMP certification. The Project Management Body of knowledge areas. There are several knowledge areas that you must learn about in order to not only be a successful project manager, but also to achieve the certification. Managing integration, managing scope, managing time and schedule, managing costs, managing quality, managing human resources, managing communication, managing risks, managing procurement, and also managing stakeholders. As you can see, when you're a project manager, you must have domain experience over all of these knowledge areas in order to be a successful project manager. Let's talk about project integration. It's very active during the startup, and it's all about coordinating all activities in all other knowledge areas. Project scope is all about defining what the project is about. There are several forms of basis of agreement between the project sponsor and the project team around this idea of scope, which is what you're going to accomplish in the project. Changes in the scope may be proposed at any time during a project, but should follow a clearly defined approval process. Every project must have a scope statement in order to be successful. It includes a description of the scope, the acceptance criteria, deliverables, exclusions, constraints, and assumptions. The scope statement, to me, is one of the most important documents that you must create as a project manager. What it does, in a nutshell, is say that these things are what's in scope and what's out of scope. It's just as important to include what's in scope as it is to include what's out of scope so that you can focus your efforts on having a successful project. Scope and the WBS. A work breakdown structure, or WBS, is the breakdown of deliverables into manageable units of work. Schedule and time management. The schedule is based on the units of work defined by the WBS. Resources required are identified, time durations are estimated, dependencies are identified, such as what task must be completed before another task can begin. And a schedule can be created. Schedule and time management. Several methods are available. We'll learn about those a little bit later in this chapter. Also, software is frequently used to assist with managing the time schedule. Project costs. Develop a budget. There's several methods for doing that, and you have to make sure you understand how to estimate the work in order to develop a budget that can be used for the project. Plan for the cash flow. Track the expenditures. Explain deviations and make adjustments where required. Managing project costs is one of the most important things you can do as a project manager. The budget you start with is usually the number that is given to you by stakeholders and customers. However, as you learn to execute a project and manage and control the scope and how it's being executed, you must learn to be able to make changes to that budget if necessary, or if you run into different issues with the project, how you can make sure that you stay under budget. Project quality. A quality plan is defined so that you meet certain standards, and also the methods that will be used to achieve those standards is included in that, as well as the methods that will be used to measure the standards. The human resources area. That's where we identify all of our HR requirements, the selection of the project team, the development of the project team, as well as the motivation that's needed to manage the team as you're executing the project. Communication. When we're working in the communication area, that includes the communication within the team as well as the communication with others outside the team. The project should have a communications plan, which basically includes who you need to communicate with, what methods will be used, what's the frequency of the communication, and who within the project will be responsible. Project communication is one of the most critical areas that a new project manager needs to manage in order to be successful. You must know who to communicate what's going on with the project to, as well as how to communicate to those wonderful stakeholders and customers that you're delivering the work for. Risk. Risk is a very important part of the project. Risk represents the likelihood of an occurrence of an event that will negatively or positively impact the achievement of the project goals. The job of the project manager is to make sure they identify the risks, they analyze the risks, and they manage the risks accordingly. Procurement. Procurement is all about contracting to obtain supplies and services required to carry out the project. Procurement on certain projects may be very complex. Time schedules can be crucial, and on complex projects, they almost always involve additional experts such as lawyers. Stakeholder management. Stakeholders are people or organizations who either will be impacted by the project or who can impact the project. They always include the project sponsor and, of course, the project team themselves. Stakeholders may include customers, suppliers, vendors, the public, landowners, voters, other departments within the organization, the government, and etc. A majority of time is going to be spent by the project manager working with stakeholders. You're going to be in meetings, communications meetings, status meetings, update meetings, making sure that the stakeholder who has a vested interest in the project knows what's going on, and you can get what you need from them. The major tool that you use when you're managing stakeholders is a register. This lists all of the stakeholders, their roles, and the communications that you're going to be sending to them and the frequency. You update the stakeholders regularly throughout the project, and new stakeholders, depending on the course of the project and the duration of the project, can appear at any time. The Project Management Institute offers process groups for all of these activities that go on as you manage a project. You have project initiating, project planning, project executing, project monitoring and controlling, and project closing process groups.